Don't forget to subscribe. Afterwards, the wisest and most spiritual books from the greatest authors await you every day. And now buckle up, sit back and we'll begin.
If you make it a habit not to blame others, you will feel the growth of the ability to love in your soul, and you will see the growth of goodness in your life. Leo Tolstoy. Wrong does not cease to be wrong because the majority share in it. Our whole life is taken up with anxiety for personal security, with preparations for living, so that we really never live at all. Patience is waiting, not passively waiting. That is laziness. But to keep going when the going is hard and slow, that is patience. The two most powerful warriors are patience and time. Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. What is important is not the quantity of your knowledge but its quality. You can know many things without knowing the most important. Since corrupt people unite amongst themselves to constitute a force, then honest people must do the same. If you want to be happy, try only to please God, not people. Much unhappiness has come from things left unsaid. Until you do what you believe in, you don't know whether you believe it or not. Real wisdom is not the knowledge of everything, but the knowledge of which things in life are necessary, which are less necessary, and which are completely unnecessary to know. Free thinkers are those who are willing to use their minds without prejudice and without fearing to understand things that clash with their own customs, privileges, or beliefs. This state of mind is not common, but it is essential for right thinking. Upon meeting, you're judged by your clothes. Upon parting, you're judged by your wits. When you love someone, you love the person as they are, and not as you'd like them to be. The Christian churches and Christianity have nothing in common save in name. They are utterly hostile opposites. The churches are arrogance, violence, usurpation, rigidity, death. Christianity is humility, penitence, submissiveness, progress, life. Once we're thrown off our habitual paths, we think all is lost, but it's only here that the new and the good begins. If you're not enjoying your work, you should either change your attitude or change your job. It is terrible when people do not know God, but it is worse when people identify as God what is not God. Many people have ideas on how others should change. Few people have ideas on how they should change. The only purpose of education is freedom. The only method is experience. If people tell you that you should live your life preparing for the future, do not believe them. Real life is found only in the present. The more we live by our intellect, the less we understand the meaning of life. So remember, great achievements take time. There is no overnight success. A man on a 1,000-mile walk has to forget his goal and say to himself every morning, "Today I'm going to cover 25 miles and then rest up and sleep." Memento mori, remember death. These are important words. If we kept in mind that we will soon inevitably die, our lives would be completely different. If a person knows that he will die in a half hour, he certainly will not bother doing trivial, stupid, or, especially, bad things during this half hour. Perhaps you have half a century before you die. What makes this any different from a half hour? The great tragedy of atheists is that they walk through this world and have no one to thank. Every lie is a poison. There are no harmless lies. Only the truth is safe. Only the truth gives me consolation. It is the one unbreakable diamond. If you see that some aspect of your society is bad, and you want to improve it, there is only one way to do so. You have to improve people. And in order to improve people, you begin with only one thing: you can become better yourself. Wealth is a great sin in the eyes of God. Poverty is a great sin in the eyes of man. Rest, nature, books, music. Such is my idea of happiness. Grow spiritually and help others to do so. It is the meaning of life. Each person's task in life is to become an increasingly better person. There is no genius where there is not simplicity. It is not beauty that endears, it's love that makes us see beauty. Life could be limitless joy, if we would only take it for what it is, in the way it is given to us. The key to success in life is using the good thoughts of wise people. Nothing is so necessary for a young man as the company of intelligent women. Just as one candle lights another and can light thousands of other candles, so one heart illuminates another heart and can illuminate thousands of other hearts. What counts in making a happy marriage is not so much how compatible you are, but how you deal with incompatibility. There is no greatness where there is no simplicity, goodness and truth. There is something in the human spirit that will survive and prevail. There is a tiny and brilliant light burning in the heart of man that will not go out no matter how dark the world becomes. I have to create a circle of reading for myself: Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, Lao Tzu, Buddha, Pascal, the New Testament. This is also necessary for all people. If you want to be happy, be. Dear Lord, what a madhouse the world is. Everything comes in time to him who knows how to wait. Am I mad, to see what others do not see, or are they mad who are responsible for all that I am seeing? My piece of bread only belongs to me when I know that everyone else has a share, and that no one starves while I eat. To sin is a human business. To justify sins is a devilish business. If we admit that human life can be ruled by reason, the possibility of life is destroyed. Happiness is in your ability to love others. It is easier to produce 10 volumes of philosophical writings than to put one principle into practice. People try to do all sorts of clever and difficult things to improve life instead of doing the simplest, easiest thing: refusing to participate in activities that make life bad. Effort is not a means to lead us to happiness. Effort itself is happiness. When ignorance does not know something, it says that what it does not know is stupid. Only people who are capable of loving strongly can also suffer great sorrow, but this same necessity of loving serves to counteract their grief and heals them. Very often, all the activity of the human mind is directed not in revealing the truth, but in hiding the truth. Happiness consists of living each day as if it were the first day of your honeymoon and the last day of your vacation. Eating meat is a leftover of the greatest brutality. Killing, the transition to vegetarianism, is the first and most natural consequence of enlightenment. Read less, study less, but think more. Debates conceal rather than reveal the truth. Truth is revealed in solitude. The strongest of all warriors are these two, time and patience. The most difficult subjects can be explained to the most slow-witted man if he has not formed any idea of them already, but the simplest thing cannot be made clear to the most intelligent man if he is firmly persuaded that he knows already, without a shadow of doubt, what is laid before him. Men prayed to the Almighty to relieve poverty. But poverty comes not from God's laws. It is blasphemy of the worst kind to say that. Poverty comes from man's injustice to his fellow man. The most important knowledge is that which guides the way you lead your life. There are no conditions to which a man cannot get accustomed, especially if he sees that everyone around him lives in the same way. History would be a wonderful thing, if it were only true. People understand the meaning of eating lies in the nourishment of the body only when they cease to consider that the object of that activity is pleasure. People understand the meaning of art only when they cease to consider that the aim of that activity is beauty, i.e., pleasure. Muhammad has always been standing higher than the Christianity. He does not consider God as a human being and never makes himself equal to God. Muslims worship nothing except God and Muhammad as his messenger. There is no any mystery and secret in it. An arrogant person considers himself perfect. This is the chief harm of arrogance. It interferes with a person's main task in life, becoming a better person. When you say, "I can't do that," you're expressing yourself incorrectly. You should say, "I couldn't do that before." All great literature is one of two stories: a man goes on a journey or a stranger comes to town. If you look for perfection, you'll never be content. I don't allow myself to doubt myself even for a moment. I believe that order is better than chaos, creation better than destruction. I prefer gentleness to violence, forgiveness to vendetta. On the whole, I think knowledge is preferable to ignorance, and I am sure human sympathy is more valuable than ideology. Love is life. Everything that I understand only because I love. Everything exists, only because I love. Everything is united by it alone. Love is God, and to die means that I, a particle of love, shall return to the general and eternal source. The kinder and more intelligent a person is, the more kindness he can find in other people. Kindness enriches our life. With kindness, mysterious things become clear, difficult things become easy, and dull things become cheerful. Patriotism in its simplest, clearest, and most indubitable meaning is nothing but an instrument for the attainment of the government's ambitious and mercenary aims, and a renunciation of human dignity, common sense, and conscience by the governed, and a slavish submission to those who hold power. That is what is really preached wherever patriotism is championed. Patriotism is slavery. Don't seek God in temples. He is close to you. He is within you. Only you should surrender to Him and you will rise above happiness and unhappiness. Everybody wants to change the world, but nobody thinks about changing himself. If goodness has causes, it is not goodness. If it has effects, a reward, it is not goodness either. So goodness is outside the chain of cause and effect. Love alone is the only reasonable activity or pursuit of humankind. For love not only annihilates our fear of meaninglessness but empowers us to seek the happiness of others. And this indeed is our greatest happiness. Boredom, the desire for desires. Better to know a few things which are good and necessary than many things which are useless and mediocre. You can love a person dear to you with a human love, but an enemy can only be loved with divine love. Act as if you are, and you will become such. He who has love is in God, and God is in him, for God is love. The more he did nothing, the less time he had to do anything. Respect was invented to cover the empty place where love should be. If a man does not work at necessary and good things, then he will work at unnecessary and stupid things. There are two gods. There is the God that people generally believe in, a God who has to serve them. This God does not exist. But the God whom people forget, the God whom we all have to serve, exists, and is the prime cause of our existence and of all that we perceive. The most important time is now. Death is more certain than the morrow, than night following day, than winter following summer. Why is it then that we prepare for the night and for the winter time, but do not prepare for death? We must prepare for death. But there is only one way to prepare for death, and that is to live well. The kinder and the more thoughtful a person is, the more kindness he can find in other people. The difference between real material poison and intellectual poison is that most material poison is disgusting to the taste, but intellectual poison, which takes the form of cheap newspapers or bad books, can unfortunately sometimes be attractive. To say that you can love one person all your life is just like saying that one candle will continue burning as long as you live. Art lifts man from his personal life into the universal life. Without knowing what I am and why I am here, life is impossible. Everything depends on upbringing. Everything comes in time to him who knows how to wait. There is nothing stronger than those two, patience and time. They will do it all. Writing laws is easy, but governing is difficult. The idea, shared by many, that life is a vale of tears, is just as false as the idea shared by the great majority. The idea to which youth and health and riches incline you, that life is a place of entertainment. Life is a place of service, and in that service one has to suffer a great deal that is hard to bear, but more often to experience a great deal of joy. But that joy can be real only if people look upon their life as a service, and have a definite object in life outside themselves and their personal happiness. Leo Tolstoy.
And that's not all. Our experts and regular viewers respond to all comments. Also check if you forgot to subscribe and set your bell to receive notifications about new audiobooks and other useful self-development materials that we release regularly. Join in the discussions, don't forget to give likes and, if possible and inspired, support the development of the channel financially. All useful links will be in the description and the first attached comment. Goodness, love and wisdom to all. And now move on to watch the next part of the video at the links below, or choose something from the playlists of the channel and those you see on the screen.